Glue Wednesday. You see, it's my belief that we don't have to get over. We need to find ways to keep it together. And my glue is G-L-U-E. God's love undoes everything. Because that's what keeps it together. That life is about going from one puzzle to the next. You're either a small, medium, or large piece of each puzzle in your family, social, or business relationships. Yet, no matter what size puzzle piece you think you are, without you, the puzzle is labeled as incomplete. Welcome to Glue Wednesday. I'm Sporty King. Here I celebrate the fact that though some will call Wednesday hump day, I look at Wednesday as the middle day of a traditional seven-day week, but that keeps the beginning and the end together. So I look at Wednesday not as a hump day, but as the glue that keeps the week together. And then what I also say is that glue is G-L-U-E. God's love undoes everything. So we don't have the need to hump. We don't need to get over. We need to glue. We need to keep it together. So welcome to Glue Wednesday. You'll see me here every Wednesday on the Wake Up Call Radio and TV network. At least that's when the show airs first on like Facebook and then YouTube later in the week. We're going to be on Access TV, on podcast. It's great to see the growth in the network. But I've got a message for you today. Look, a couple of weeks ago, I introduced the topic silent joy. And then I let it evolve until where joy was J-O-Y, just one you. Reminding you, when we think about the cliches in life where people say, oh, there's nobody else like you. That's one of the cliches that I actually like and believe. There really is no one else like you. So are you celebrating the uniqueness of you? Then we've got people who make jokes about who make a cliche of the cliche, and they say, yeah, you're unique, just like everybody else, which gives the connotation that there's really no such thing as being unique. And P.S. by the way, that's almost somewhat true. But let me say it's not true. What the repeat is, what made me think for a second is that you'll find in the Bible, but you'll also hear it in people saying there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is a remix of something in the past. So in some ways, we, as unique as we are mirroring somebody. And sometimes we may not always get to see that person, and there may be that little thing that makes it just a little bit different. But the things in our lives are not new. So that's why one of the things that I do is deliver a message that helps people start to find ways to stay powerful and positive when positive doesn't seem like an option. Because there's so many things that are going on in our lives that we sometimes lose sight of who we are, and that's how we can lose sight of the joy. J-O-Y, just one you. But when I gave that broadcast, and I called it silent joy, because your celebration of yourself is internal. It's what you do in your spirit that makes all the difference in the world, because then that will now come outside and help people see you in the society, in the world that we live in. But they see who the real you is depending on what you decide to show. But I open that message by stating that sometimes it's hard to accept our personal power. So see, sometimes it's hard to accept our personal power because someone else will put a tag on it and label you as being arrogant because you know who you are, when it really is just your self-confidence. So what we do is we find ways to be publicly humble, and then we use that cliche that you have to be humble. But I say I'm humble to God. I'm not humble to man, because man is who I am. So I'm not interested in being humble to somebody, because there's a fine line, and I don't want my message to be so convoluted and broad that it sounds like I'm trying to pull too many people in. But I know how humble I am. How humble someone else thinks I am, that's where I think you need to draw the line. You have to know how humble you are. Someone else, their definition of what humility should be does not necessarily have to be yours. One of my idols is Muhammad Ali. And it's so funny because in our generation, especially with our younger people, see, they met him as Muhammad Ali, the greatest. I met him as Cassius Clay, the draft dodger. Okay, so I met him when he was a person who talked about his greatness, and there were so many people that didn't like the fact that he talked about how good he was, because they didn't feel that was being humble. But he was being totally humble, because he said, my humility is to God, not to man. And what he was doing was really promoting fights, building up his ego. But he was just as docile as he could be. That was one of the reasons he ended up not going into the army. And that was part of what the legal challenges that he went through for not going into the army, where they stripped his title and everything. So if he was not humble, then how come he took that stand to say, well, this is what I'm going to do because I'm humble enough to be who I am. Do you see how you can be humble enough to be who you are? And that's what makes a difference. I'm a little off track here, but that's also why, what somebody said, well, boy, sometimes you look like you read. And I say, yeah, because if I don't go what I write down on my message, I go into another place. That ain't always bad either, by the way. Sometimes I really don't deliver the whole message that I prepare, but I deliver enough of the nucleus of it to make a difference. But I really like to, I've been in the speaking business 24 years now, and a lot of times people will say, you just want to speak from the heart. No. I want to write from the heart, and then I speak from experience. See, write your message down and get it clear of what you want to get across. Because when you speak from the heart, sometimes you get emotional and you lose track, and then you don't deliver what you need to deliver to the people. So write from the heart and then speak from your experience. Think about that one. So let's go back to that message where we said sometimes it's hard for us to accept our personal power. So what we do is we source it out to somebody else's opinion. And we'll see that on Facebook a lot, where on the posts where we shift the responsibility for our actions to popular opinion, where we poll in the audience, dial a friend, right? What do y'all think about this hairstyle? What do y'all think about how I'm doing stuff? And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. We do want to seek help and advice every now and then, but I always want to remind people that we have to recognize what we're doing and then choose our messengers carefully. After you get the input, then you decide who you're going to follow and who you're going to listen to, but more importantly, what you're going to do. And you want to make sure that the outcome of what you decide to do is something you can live with and not regret. So one of the things I did with that message was I gave an assignment. I gave an assignment to you. If you were with me on that broadcast, you may remember. And the assignment was to post right here on Facebook or YouTube, however you might be watching it. But if you're not watching it, if you're on a podcast or on Access TV, etc., email me and send me a message at sk@sportyking.com and tell me what you celebrate about yourself. So post it right now as you're as you're watching the broadcast. But if you're not watching it, email me and tell me what you celebrate about yourself so I can share that with other people. Due to a mechanical glitch, I ended up only being able to save 2 of the responses. So if you were one of the people that responded, would you please do it again so I can bring it in on another show and get you a shout out? So I'm going to give you the two responses that I did receive, but what I'm going to do is now I'm going to tie their responses into my topic of the week. And my topic of the week is no. Okay? Now, with my literary lesson, I always have a literary lesson for you as well. One of my literary lessons is control your vocabulary. Don't let your vocabulary control you. So I would bet that the majority of you on this broadcast, when you heard the word no, you spelled it N-O. And I'm going to say to you that that's just fine, but I'm going to help us deal with no as what it actually is. No, N-O is actually the nucleus of K-N-O-W. You can't have knowledge if you don't have no in the middle sometimes. So it's okay that you heard N-O, but I want you to start to learn to hear K-N-O-W, and you'll see why, because I'm going to wrap that topic into a background message of what do you hear? So when someone says no, what do you hear? And the reason I wanted to have that conversation with you is to take you back to a story. I'm on a contract right now with the military where I do weekend seminars for service and family members going through the deployment cycle. Well, years ago, at the end of a speaking engagement, I had a conversation with one of the meeting planners. His name is Eric Harris. And Eric was in charge of the Naval Reserve, the naval reservists who I was working with that weekend. And so I want to give you, after I did my seminars, he sat down and gave me his feedback. Now, part of the beauty of the memory for me is the fact that I was a last-minute speaker replacing another speaker. They called me on Monday and said, "Can you be in Pittsburgh on Friday?" So I had to put these 3 presentations together between Monday and Thursday to be there on Friday to start delivering them. And I did pretty good with them. I was successful, but they fell short in several places. And Eric clearly let me know what some of my misses were, as well as some of the hits. And I won't give you the details because I don't remember them all, other than the fact that, one, there were more misses than there were hits. And two, what I remembered hearing the most out of everything that he said, because he said, well, look, my people need this, and you didn't deliver that, and you didn't deliver this, and next time you want to do this, and I don't think you did this, but next time I want you to get this. The thing I heard the most was, next time. That's what I heard him saying, next time. You see, how often do we brace ourselves for